Hey everybody, on this episode of the Legends of Tomorrow After Show, we're breaking down Season 2, Episode 15, Fellowship of the Spear. Now, there we go. We're going to be talking about heartbreak, both within the Legends After Show panel and within the team itself. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
But holding everybody knows him, Bilbo Baggins.
Wow.
Bilbo Baggins. R.I.P.
Wow.
Leonard Nimoy,
Yes.
singer of this song.
I've heard of him singing this song. I had never seen the video for this, and wow, what a...
It is a trip.
He was a fan.
That's right, yeah. And he let his freak flag fly, so to speak, on this one. Yep.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep, he let it go.
Yeah, let it out. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. Of course, we're breaking down every episode of Season 2 of the Legends of Tomorrow
Every
Show.
single one.
Every single one.
We're never stopping.
Never stop, never stop.
Don't let us stop.
In fact, we'll be here all over the summer during the hiatus, just breaking them down all over again because we enjoyed them so much. We're going to give a second look at all of them.
The mics won't even be on, but we're still going to talk into them.
That's right. So, I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie.
Hi, I'm Dave Child. You can find me at Mr. Dave Child. My name is Dave Child. You can find me at davechild.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Mr. Dave Child, or Snapchat at Mr. Dave Child, or you can go, I'm Dave Child. Welcome, I'm Dave Child.
Well, I'm not Dave Child, guys, but I've been requested to do this in my sexy voice since I am
Ooh.
Lacretia Lyon. So you can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet since there is only one.
Silky.
Who am I? I am Lex Michael, right?
Do it in your Lexi voice.
Yes.
Still,
We get lots of requests for sexy Lexi.
I am. This is
That's
like
a Batman
this
voice.
Is like,
You just do hear the Batman voice.
Batman is sexy, you guys.
Yeah.
Batman is
That
incredibly
works.
sexy. I am Lex Michael. I'm all over social media at the Lex Michael.
Okay, look at that. Speaking of your Lexi voice, at work, I just mentioned yesterday, the name drop. Watch your toesies, guys. I'm about to drop some names.
Ouchies.
Michael Shank and his wife, Lex DeYoung, how do you pronounce your last name? They came in, and I was like, whoa, hello, guys.
I think we just
Wow.
been shanked.
Yeah, we've been shanked, everybody.
We just been shanked.
And of course, I could have asked him about anything, but I asked him specifically about playing Hawkman in Smallville. No, I didn't. That would have been terrible. Let's not go down that terrible hole. Ladies and gentlemen.
Let's not go down.
No.
this terrible
Speaking
hole.
of terrible holes.
Yes. You know what you can do to help prevent that, though, is to like us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Lex Michael requires those on a regular basis to keep him alive.
Indeed, it's true. You think that Frank Moran is being disingenuous when he says things like that, but medical science doesn't quite have an explanation pinned down. We're working on it. Please send validation.
Dave Science says that it is true.
Yeah.
Yep, the Dave Science approves. Need
Now-
more stars.
That's true. And as I told her at the beginning there, as I mentioned, a little bit of heartbreak on the Legends of Tomorrow After Show panel. Guys, I'll be honest, not enough 5 stars. Lex Michael, he's sliding back. I don't think he's going to be able to be here next week.
I may have to go to a facility in the Alps where I'm told an excellent team of physicians will validate me back into good standing.
It's high up, so he's closer to the stars in the sky. Because
That's right.
he's not getting enough 5 stars from you people. So look what you're doing.
Think about your choices.
You're ruining him.
We do have some 5-star reviews.
Oh, that's really
Yeah.
Let's save them for the end of the
yeah.
show. Because it was weird last time when we were like, welcome to the show. Let us tell you why we're
We're
great.
awesome. But yeah, we'll save this one.
best.
We've
Okay,
got
cool.
one to keep you alive, Lex.
Or at least until next week, until we see him again. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as hop in the chat. Lacretia, our resident Oracle's got the laptop up and running, which means the chat is up and running as well. So hop in, share your thoughts about the series in general, or this episode in
Just
particular.
tell us how you doing. What's your day like?
What's up?
What did you have for lunch?
That's right.
We really care.
Yeah, you
guys,
want to
we do.
know.
Yeah, booty call, whatever you want to do.
Sure.
No?
We are up.
That's right. There
You
go.
don't have to ask us if we're up because this is a live
We're here.
feed. So we up.
So, with only 3 episodes, including this one, to get ready for the season finale.
Not
there.
enough.
There's only 3 episodes left in the season. So, were you happy with everything that happened this episode?
Yes.
Yes.
The short answer, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, let's just say snart, 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 snart,
Snark,
snart.
snark, snark, snark,
For
snark.
that, I'm glad that we finally got him back in the flesh, and also
Yeah.
I'm glad that finally we have a full Legion of Doom assembled. That feels like there are 5. I'll give them Legion. Like when there's only 3 of them, like Legion is a stretch. It's like overly grandiose. There's only 3 of you guys, but 5. Now we can have a conversation.
That's a Legion.
Yeah, now it is a full hockey line. That's right. You know,
That is
because
a starting team.
Yeah, and the Philadelphia Flyers did have their own Legion of Doom, so clever
Don't
little
know what any
sports
of that
reference.
That's great. 5.
Yeah.
Are you folks happy seeing, because they go back and get Snart from an earlier time before
Right.
he died at the Vanishing Point? Do you like seeing old school Snart as opposed to the kind of character arc that he had over the first season? Kind of changed and different and kind of broadened his scope a little bit.
Well, yeah, this is the villainous Snart. This is the Snart that's not quite like, I like people sometimes, and sometimes I want to be a good person. This is like, I still like to steal stuff.
Losers.
I love that kitty cat voice. It's nice to hear that kitty cat voice
great.
again.
That and like the grimace he was doing.
Yeah.
Entire episode.
There was one shot that was so weird where it was when he came in at the end, he's holding his gun, he's got his goggles on, and he's just like,
He's like squinting with his entire face.
yeah. He was in full Captain Cold mode.
He
It
was.
nice.
It was nice to have him back, for sure. I mean, I felt like it was a nice injection, especially into the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, all right. Tell me how you feel about this at the beginnings of episodes like this, where they start with little teas and then they always do like the 72 hours, 24 hours.
I kind of liked it because I'm glad we had the closed captions on this one because are you okay?
I know,
are
I'm
you
dying.
You're
I'm
okay.
dying. I need those.
Send those
Good.
flash
All
stars.
right.
Easy, guys. This
Right.
pathogen might be
We
moving
need
quick.
more stars. But I like how it starts off where they're just like, they're in the middle of a war zone. They got a glowing spear. And they say Jesus's blood should just be over there. Should just be, and I think that's a great start to an episode because I'm just like, what?
I am immediately intrigued. I need answers.
Yeah, and I'm glad there was the closed captioning so I could see that. Oh no, he said Jesus.
Yeah.
He said Jesus's blood.
Yeah, I was like, they're bringing Jesus into this. All right. Yeah.
Someone else is joining the legends. Jesus Christ. Don't call him a hero. He's a savior. I do have to say, while we're on the Jesus train right now, I do like how they kind of explained away pretty fast, like why they're not like hanging out with Jesus all of a sudden.
But I like that Sarah's first choice was like when they where to go to find the blood
Yeah.
of Christ was Gideon set a course for the
Crucifixion.
crucifixion.
Straight there. Yeah.
I love that. I was like, of course, yes,
Yeah.
that is the smartest choice possible.
And then right away they had him say, "Oh, we can't go there. It's too important of a moment." Which I like. I like having those little, like, all you need is made up science and made up little.
Well, and it's also a good way to
explanations.
set a hard rule. It's like we're not gonna touch Jesus on
We're
this
not
show
gonna-
probably anytime soon. And I like that it's not just the moment of his death. The actual line that Rip has is his birth, life, and death are all moments that can't be altered.
Yeah.
His whole life apparently is a moment that cannot be altered. All of them, I suppose.
Yeah.
So at no point can we go back and hang with Jesus.
Yeah, so they do have a line, and it's Jesus. Yeah.
They won't cross that Jesus line.
All right.
They won't, and it might just be because we don't want to deal with all the angry hate letter they'll get if they go anywhere near Jesus. But I like that.
No, that was nice. And of course, the first part of our plan, I felt like we see the legends actually getting their act together. It's they're pulling off a heist at the beginning of the episode, and it surprisingly for the legends, it goes off without a hitch.
Yeah, and also they're using their powers accurately.
We get to see the sweet transmutation of that weird box into a big pile of jelly beans.
That was so good.
That was amazing because it was so sweet of him to, hey, Rip, what's your favorite candy? And then he made it. It's like, aw.
It's not just delicious, but also
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Which I thought was that was such a cool moment.
Yeah, it was great. It was. I felt like this was one of the stronger episodes because it just beginning to end, it kind of had this feeling of it all made sense in the world. It didn't feel like there was kind of a stretch and with a lot of stuff, and you got to see them use their powers. And also, I think we're gonna talk about this later, but I don't think they hit the fandom over the head too hard. when it came to J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah,
Which,
I know.
can we talk about that? How do you pronounce his last name?
I thought it was Tolkien.
I
thought it
always
was
did
Tolkien.
too.
Tolkien, I've heard both.
I always thought it was like you're reading Tolkien and you're Tolkien.
See, and Stephen Colbert is like a scholar of Tolkien, and he says Tolkien. So I'm like,
But everyone
I don't
kept
know.
saying Tolkien.
Yeah.
Enough that I was like, oh, I've had it wrong this entire
Yeah,
time.
I'm like, am I wrong? I, of course, just always assume that I am. But,
Yeah.
But
I,
well, I agree we didn't hit the fandom super, super hard, which I also appreciate. But they did also plant the seed in the dude's brain for Lord of the Rings in the first place. Again, so that's Lord of the Rings and Star Wars that the legends
You know
have
what?
essentially graced us with.
yeah, there is a bit of silliness here because
I'm not mad at it. I just think it's...
I feel like as, I dabble in writing, and if that sort of thing happens to me, I'm going to write about the thing that actually happened. So I'm going to write about time travelers. I'm going to write about a glowing spear. I'm not going to be like, but what if it was a ring?
Yes, if I come up with a great allegory for this.
I think it needs more dwarves.
I was hoping the idea for Sauron would come from Malcolm's hand, but he wasn't around
Right.
for much of the
yeah.
episode.
I like that there was
Yeah.
like very little aspect. There was no actual ring. There was a glowing spear, and that was like about it.
But I was done with the Fellowship reference. Like anytime there's a
Okay,
magic
that was
element-
said once, maybe twice, but it was said by the biggest geek of the group, and it was said in a way that was like a fellowship, and he's like, I know what I did.
Yeah.
I know what I did, and he.
It was adorable.
Even Rip name checked that it is powerful speech at the end when he got the ceasefire, and he mentioned it as a fellowship. I'm like,
But why not?
and then they cut right to Tolkien. I'm like, as if to go like, yes, fellowship, good.
Yeah, so why not? Why not though? I mean, it was fun. I also got I wrote down, the spear is like Sting before they got to J.R. Tolkien at all. So that was kind of
Yes.
nice. That I was like, oh, cool. They're doing I feel like I was gonna mention something about Sting, and I didn't even know what this episode was about or what it was called at the time.
It took me a second. Sting is the sword, not
Yeah.
Sting like
Not-
Roxanne.
Desert Rose, when it starts singing Desert Rose.
Yeah.
That's my favorite song to reference because it's the worst one.
Aw.
And Desert Rose, lay.
I like his stalker songs, myself.
Yeah.
That
I
was
like
always
his
really good.
tantric sex.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Oh, we've got some funny comments in the chat because they're
Yeah.
just going along with our games here. Jonathan Dimming says, well, if Constantine is around, then God and Satan are there as well. So Jesus would be
Right.
assumed in this universe. And he also says, hashtag jelly beans of destiny.
Right.
And we've also...
we should talk about that a bit, huh?
Yeah, and we've got Miles Wakolitz. You're new in the chat with hashtag Rip Jelly Bean Hunter. I like that.
I love.
I like
that's a
going,
great.
Yeah.
going from
Yes.
era to era hunting Jelly Bean. Speaking of really quickly, because Frank mentioned Rip and his speech a minute ago, I really like how it feels like Rip has been fully reintegrated into the team in a way that it almost feels like he's never left. But he fits so much more comfortably now than he did before.
Not that it's kind of been addressed, like what the pecking order is of everything, and not like
Right.
one like who's really captain of this. No, Rip's just a dude. It's my ship, but you're the captain. And I'm
Yeah.
just
And
like,
Rip is now the spear expert.
That's true. That's true. Guys, thanks so much. As Lacretia was mentioning, you hopped in on the game. You're throwing out your hashtags without any prompting from us. See, it's catching fire. Dave's Doodles is catching fire. As I told you, it's sweeping the internet. One of the biggest social media events.
I haven't sent out a single one yet. It's catching fire.
Yes,
say that.
And we have some good hashtags here. Connor Pearson Ward, who's been participating for a while, he's our animal style guy, has hashtag Tantric Dave Sex.
Yeah.
And then Miles, again, our newcomer here, has hashtag Dave likes tantric sex.
All right.
Yeah.
So, of course,
Sure.
you're wondering why all those hashtags are flying around. If you're kind of new to the show, we're every chance,
You
every
must be
episode.
baffled if you're new to this
Yeah.
show.
That's right. You have a chance to win the limited edition of just one
Which is one.
one per episode, Dave's Doodles, that he does while he's watching the episode and as we're talking about the episode.
Yeah, because sometimes it depends. It depends on if I remember to do the doodles.
It's got some sweet doodles down here at the bottom. I don't want to spoil. I'm gonna let Dave break it
Yeah,
down, but it's
well-
great.
Right now, it's just a doodles of the IKEA guy telling you how to use the spear.
Oh.
How to use the spear right at the end. Instructions on how to use the spear.
And there's one extra part just hanging out on the side.
Is
Yeah.
that reality being
That's
reorganized?
the reality being
Yeah.
reorganized.
That's
All
right.
it is, it's a guy holding a spear. a guy saying gibberish, and then reality gets disorganized. I mean, that's how you do it.
That is cool. Jonathan Dimming, our lovely comic book exchange watcher, says hashtag Dave's Doodles of Destiny.
Oh.
And then Cal Kent, as well as a few other people, are talking about, maybe Lucifer could just show up, or Constantine shows up on Lucifer. That's for the drinking game, guys.
No, there you go. Going back to the heist one more time, because Ray's plan is he's going to watch Thawne while this is all going down. But I feel like how loud do you think because there's sound effects, of course, but for Ray's jets that propel him around, I feel like Thawne would hear that because he wasn't that far behind Thawne.
Hear him that, and this is the second time.
Frank's gotta be.
I gotta be.
Yeah.
Frank's gotta be.
Beep, beep, gotta be. Gotta be.
You baffling. So this is the second time in I think 2 weeks where Ray has shrunk down to go peep on Thawne, and I'm wondering he can get about as small as he wants to get, and I understand it's important that the audience is able to track where Ray is in relation to the person he's watching.
Right.
But he's big enough that all Thawne has to do is turn a little bit to the right, and he's about as big as his fist.
At least he wasn't in the last episode, in the Apollo 18 episode. He was right by his face. And he's like, I'm totally safe here. At least he was like, okay, he's on the computer. I'll just hang back.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch him and see what he's doing. He's looking at some weird porn here. I love that Ray just shrunk down to sneak on his new buddy on.
Yeah.
He's Reverse Flash. He's got to be into some weird stuff.
Reverse porn.
Yeah.
The weirdest type of reverse porn.
It's the people putting clothes on.
Derailing the show. Yeah. They're just like, ooh, bye.
Oh, it's just layers and layers.
What a nice time I've had.
Yes, I'm putting the pizza back in the box and I'm leaving. So we also see that they have to go back to Vanishing Point. The nice thing about having Rip with the Legion is that he now knows where their hideout is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was cool because the idea was how are we going to track these guys? Oh wait, we've got a guy that spent time with them.
Yeah.
So that was smart planning on there. So
It's cool to bring Vanishing Point back into it. It's a location that is fairly unique within this pocket of the universe, so it's nice that they haven't completely jettisoned it. They can still play with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course we do see the first hints of Snart coming back when Mick goes back to the area that Snart sacrificed himself for, and starts having a little flashback of that. And him and Sarah have a moment about missing Snart.
Yeah, that was nice too, because you kind of forget that a big part of season 1 was Sarah getting close to Snart. And it was nice that you saw that a little bit. I kind of wish that played more into when Snart actually appeared.
Yeah, I wish she'd had feelings then, or just some sort of mention, or try to be like, "Hey, Leonard, remember me?
Remember me?
And we actually have some comments about reverse porn, and Seb Russ said he thought that I called him Perverse Flash instead of Reverse Flash. I wish I did, buddy. And then Carlos Hernandez explains, watching porn in reverse, he climaxes first. That's why.
Yeah,
there you go.
Can I say who suggested Perverse Flash?
That was Seb Russ.
I'm counting that as a hashtag.
Yeah.
Oh, all
I
right.
think that counts.
The one thing that I don't know, we've really seen a lot of exploration of the Sarah Mick relationship, and when you think about this was the scene was a reminder they do have something in common. Was that they really did? Certainly, Mick has got the longer friendship with Snart, but Sarah had a connection with him too. That they didn't really have kind of bonded over that at all.
No, not explicitly. No, and their relationship has always been explored, I think, in moments. With this many characters having to interact with each other and form bonds and conflict with one another on the show as they need to, you only have so much time per episode. You only get a certain number of moments per relationship per episode. But it was nice to see them at least interact a little bit and explore a little bit of that relationship, even though it would have been nice to hit that a little harder, but there's so much to hit.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I wish we'd had more Sarah and Mick scenes leading up to this talking about it, but it is nice to see Mick's relationship with Amaya too, and that sort of softening him a little bit and talking about loss as well, because she's sort of the outsider as well. So it's a good parallel to see him with the two women talking about these things.
Yeah.
So a lot of this whole episode, especially with Mix, is just how Snart thinks that the Legends view him and how the Legends view him as well. And they pretty much at the end seem to be on the same page, that they don't trust him, they think he's a thug. When the chips are down, they're always going to think little of him. Do you feel like that's accurate, or do you feel like any members, I feel like Ray probably likes him a little bit more than anybody.
Yeah.
Ray and
You'd
Sarah.
think by now he would have earned a little bit more trust than that. Like, yes, maybe, all right, if we really want to be cynical about it, maybe he's somebody that you keep a little bit of an eye on more than, say, you have to with a Ray Palmer. But I feel like he's been helping them out of sticky situations on a pretty consistent basis for a while now.
And I will say, Sarah and Ray seem to at least trust him a little bit. That's why I was I wish Sarah had been more stern and told him straight up, no, yeah, we do trust you, Mick. We just know. I mean, anybody can be tempted by the spear. That's how she should have worded it, because to me, nothing from her seemed like she didn't trust him. But of course, Jax and Stein, of course, have never been a big fan, which makes sense to me because they, with Stein, knew him at a different time. But yeah, Ray's supposed to be his buddy.
But I feel like every episode of this, especially this season, has been, and then Mick saves the day.
Yeah.
Like they hook up a brain thing to his head, and then he ends up being able to be more powerful, or his kind of swarthy ways are the ways they kind of figure out everything. So, like, I feel like the excuse of, well, we haven't been showing him much trust is not really founded. I feel like they have shown him a lot of trust in the last couple of episodes. And maybe they were just uncomfortable because they have been talking about how he's been drinking a lot. But, besides that,
He's been hallucinating his dead buddy.
Yeah, so maybe they should
Give him a
trust
break.
him if
Yeah,
he's and also, like, that's maybe where they drew the line is like, okay, well, maybe we'll just have you be hanging out in the control room or something because you have been seeing your dead buddy. You have been drinking a lot of beer. I mean, so that makes sense.
Yeah, Jonathan Dimming brings up Ray was hurt because they were partners for like a hot second there. And
That's right.
Then he hooked up with Buns of Steel, and they're the Backstreet Boys, apparently.
Yeah.
But then, Jared Scoggin says, of all people, Martin should understand Mick's explanation. He knows Mick has been seeing things, so.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like he hasn't shared this with anybody before, too.
Yeah. And they might have gotten the spear up their butt a little bit when he said that, I revealed all the plan to Snart. Because it's just him thinking out loud. I mean,
I know, and that's why I wish Stein would have been a little bit more like, no, he's been having illusions. Yes, come to Mick's side on that case.
Yeah, but Stein never really comes to anyone's side, except unless he suddenly realizes he's treating Jax as a kid.
And that's only, and then I have to wait to the end of the episode to get
That's at the end of the episode. He's like, I want to talk about how I think I'm your dad. And Jax is like, enough. We talk about that a lot. We have a psychic connection. Stop bringing it up.
Jonathan Dimming brings up Martin was too distracted by his very brief marriage to Joe in the musical.
So, of course, we get the spear, all the spear pieces back. They reassemble themselves. It's always cool when you put mystical artifacts that have been segmented near each other, and then they are just drawn and then reconnect and become a whole piece again.
Yeah, that's convenient.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about, like getting tape or little nails or whatever.
Magic's tape, magic nails.
Mystical ancient gaffer's tape.
Yeah.
But such an awesome piece. It doesn't have, it's not just a, use it and go, we've got it, hooray. There's a lot of temptation involved with it. So it's absolute power, corrupts absolutely. So we should destroy it. But how do you destroy something like that? Because Rip said, I've been trying it, I've never been able to do it. That's why I had to separate it.
Right. So what I like about this is they've figured out a way to destroy it with Jesus' blood. Got some Jesus blood Da Vinci Code action going on. Why do they put a Knight of the Crusades in the wall? That's my question. Is that a normal thing?
I thought they would have been in a underground in like a tent or something. Yeah,
I feel like he got the short end of the stick.
he did.
there.
After all, he did, and that's why they put him in the wall.
But they're like, trust us. They'll find you later. It'll be a hoot.
and
Just get in the wall.
I'm stuck right now on if at least Rip knew that once they put the spear together, it was going to start talking to them and messing with their minds.
Right.
Why did we put the spear together?
I also think they're gonna want to get together no matter what, so you might as well get that done.
But we could keep them in different rooms till we know where we're going.
I also thought it was silly when they were trying to find it. They were like, okay, they're drawn to each other. This is how we could track it. Let's split into different teams, and we'll each have a piece. I kept thinking, won't you just be drawn to each other then?
Yeah,
Like,
want to keep finding each other.
You should just have one piece and use that as the guiding thing. But anyways,
Now, I made this joke while we were watching the show when Nate starts talking about, there was a there was a scholar back in the the 20th century or whatever, 19th century. I thought he was going to reference Dan Brown. I thought he was going to just. I really thought, like, wait, isn't this
Da Vinci
No.
and his code.
Yes,
Yes.
but turns out it's J.R.R. Tolkien.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Tolkien.
There you go. Who wrote a book about this, about the Gawain?
Yeah. I like bringing in JR because I feel like we haven't seen that. I feel like we have had George Lucas in the past, but I think that's kind of I haven't seen anyone play with J.R.R. Tolkien as as an actual character. And bringing the fandom kind of together like that. I feel like I've seen Star Wars playing with young Star Wars before.
Sure.
Yeah, and to me, having J.R.R. Tolkien really opens it up for like H.P. Lovecraft and stuff like that. I'm like, that would be
You
really
just
cool.
want it to be dark.
You know I love dark
That would be
magic stuff.
amazing.
Yeah, but I was
H.P.
like,
Lovecraft, I think that's gonna be
Yeah.
Constantine.
Oh, yeah.
How incredible would that be? Like, is it
Yeah.
Frank? You must know this, right? Like, there are plenty of versions of Legion of Doom in the comics where their headquarters is like, isn't it like the big bubble thing in a swamp,
Yes.
right?
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Like, I want that, but I want an H.P. Lovecraft episode where they've got this swamp base.
All
Make it
right.
happen.
Sure.
All right, Legends Riders, I'm sure you're watching this
Yeah.
perhaps on your Friday lunch. There you go. According to Lex Michael, you need to have really cool H.P. Lovecraft headquarters for the Legion of Doom.
Also, Keto, great episode. If you are watching this, I went to college with Keto, and she was the writer on this, and she's been a giant J.R. Tolkien fan forever. She has a tattoo with like elfin writing on her. It was kind of awesome to kind of see this.
Interesting. I kind of look around where we tape. If I just look across the way, there's a couch, and this couch is very empty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
So
It's-
maybe come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like I would love to hear some of these stories firsthand.
Okay.
So, of course, we get a little cut away from Thawne, where he's what I like about him, he is such a snob that he constantly looks down on the legends. Like, there's no way they could figure this out. They're too dumb to figure out that I'm at the vanishing point. They're too dumb to figure out where the spirit pieces are located.
I do. I really like that his shock when their plan is actually going the way they want it to. It's like, they're not smart enough for this to be
Yeah.
happening. Like, he was so
says it.
convinced, not only of his own brilliance, but of their ineptitude, that he genuinely did not foresee this even as a possibility.
I did like that because he kept wherever. Like, I would think if these pieces of the spear are so important, keep them in the same room. No, he kept them so far away that he couldn't quite hear or see anything that was going on until it was far too late.
Yeah.
But of course, Dark is loving this at all.
He's probably like, I'm really fast. If I got to get over there, I can get over there. They're not going to be able to steal the thing. So if I have to go, I'm just going to, and it'll be fine.
Yeah.
That'll be.
And of course, they say Dark is like, if we're going to do this, we're losing, so we need to change a game plan. And of course, at that moment, you know
Yeah.
what's going to be happening.
I do really like, though, before we even get to that moment, Thawne runs after them as they're getting away with that they've succeeded, and he screams at her, just like, no, because he thinks like, oh, I'm gonna die now. Very next scene, he's like, I thought about it some more. This is fine.
I love his freak out, just throwing everything, because I love when people throw fits on shows. I was laughing in Logan when he throws a fit. I was laughing at this. And Oliver did it last
must
week
have
on
laughed a
Arrow.
lot during
yeah,
Logan.
I know.
Yeah.
Every time someone throws a fit, it's funny
That
to me.
fits the movie.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of fits.
And we have 5 Constantine
Ooh.
should be here comments, so that's for your drinks, guys.
That's right. Just
Yeah.
just 5 times. Just chug, 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 chug. So we got to go back and find J.R.R. Tolkien, who's back in World War I at the time, and he's going to have a trench fever. So they got to go and pull him out and find out what he knows about Sir Gawain. So cool to see World War I. It's not often a time period that you see a lot of superhero shows. I know Wonder Woman, the film, is going to be dealing with that time period.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you like to have seen just Wonder Woman like running in the background?
And Steve.
I'm not here. I'm in another universe.
You can't put me on the show.
You can't afford me. Bye.
But it was nice to see Maya Mick go into the medical tent, and you see that just the ramifications of her seeing what
Yeah.
her future was, and all the devastation that happens for her village to go walking through and seeing all these people kind of just in it definitely need of medical attention.
It was nice to have Amaya along with Rory, how they're both tempted to kind of change what has happened to them, and you see the path of both of them and what they kind of both decide to do. with the spear.
And in a way that doesn't feel contrived, because it would have been real easy to manufacture something and tell the audience, well, no, this is really effective at like pulling them in a different direction. But this felt completely organic and completely grounded in both of their characters, which I appreciate.
And it's also nice to see something that was introduced in the previous episode manifest itself in this episode, which is, kind of obvious, but this is the type of show that could just forget that, and it could be put that on hold for a while. But she sees what happens to her village in the previous one, and now she's dealing with that and facing it like head on in this one, which was great.
Now, at the end, of course, we do see Rory goes back with the Legion with the spear.
Yeah.
Because as he tells Sarah's like, there's things about me that I want to change too. But he offers Amaya to come with them, and Amaya does not. Would you? Do you like the idea of like they wanted to show how two different people react to the temptation of the spear? One tries to be more heroic, one kind of succumbs to the easy temptation. Or would you rather have seen Amaya go, well, you know what, I want this too, and just as a story choice, go with him as well?
I like that there was a separation. I like how there was a sense of, you saw her make a choice and you saw Rory make a choice, and they were different choices.
And exactly, and to what I was saying before, I completely bought both of their choices. I don't know that I would have completely bought Mick fully being able to resist that temptation, just as I'm pretty positive I wouldn't have bought Amaya fully giving into it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is the decisions made total sense with their characters. I mean, Mick has always had a soft spot for Snart, because he's the only one that he truly trusts. So it makes sense for him want to go with him. Same thing for Amaya. She's always a very team, mission-oriented person, and is not just going to join the dark side. And yeah, Talon T says, I'm glad it was Mick who took the spear, because if Amaya had done it, I felt like the fandom would have torn her apart.
That's true. Yeah. That is true. And you did see her pick it up and go to the rest of the legends and say, hey, maybe we should just use this as a tool. And it is only a tool, and so you saw her fall to the temptation and then back away from the edge.
And I did like that she was like, okay, I've been outvoted, so I will go along with you, but I think this is a terrible idea. So I did like that she respected just kind of the consensus of the room, but I'm still going to let you know I think this is still a stupid idea, what we're doing here.
Right.
Because it was interesting with Mick, because it feels like what Mick, when he and Amaya have that moment where they talk about what the temptation of the spear, and you know what Amaya's is, and then Mick says, well, it's my parents, so tell me not to play with fire. Do you feel like Mick wants to use this? What do you think Mick wants to use it to go and rewrite?
I think that initially he wanted to bring Snart back, but now that he sort of is, I think he's going to try to resurrect his parents that he, accidentally killed.
Right.
Yeah,
especially because that was it.
Agreed. I think the implication is he wants to go all the way back to like the genesis of who this Mick Rory is and fix that.
Yeah, which was nice, because I think it would have been a bit weird if he was like, I need to save Snart. This is all for Snart. And it's like, oh, okay, Rory.
Yeah, Billie Jean Girl 24 says, I think Mick has a secret crush on Snart.
I don't think it's a secret.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very secret.
It's pretty
at
obvious.
all.
I think that dynamic is interesting because certainly Snart and Rory, and I think like Snart probably had more of the character growth in the first season, but they both did change and grow at the end of that first season. And so to now go back and meet a version of Snart who was prior to all that growth, kind of weird to go back and see an old friend of yours that you really care about, but they haven't gone through those same changes that you went through together.
Right.
Yeah.
And would you like be so like, oh yeah, I really liked hanging out with this guy, or would you be kind of like, ooh man, yeah, I don't like this person back then. I like the person that he was.
Well, as we're seeing, it depends in that scenario on how much you have changed in the interim, and Mick has changed exponentially. I mean, he's so not. There's still traits of that same dude. Like he's the guy who says he wants the cake and the beer after the heist. He's still the same dude. He likes to set stuff on fire, but he is so far progressed beyond where he was when we first saw him join this team a couple of years ago.
Right.
Yeah, and Jonathan Deming says Mick used the spear to bring back Prison Break.
Oh, there you go.
That's the rewrote reality.
Yes,
We got
perfect.
a Prison Break revival.
And Miles says hashtag Snart Point.
No,
Smart
that's.
point.
I feel like this is, and I hope that the show is going to do this, but it feels like it's really going to come down to a moment. I think for Mick, does he go against this version of Snart, somebody that has been like, I don't want to say like but pretty much his constant, somebody that he's been able to rely on for so much of his life, to be able to kind of say no to that, because he's had, as you were mentioning, like all this growth since Snart passed. Could he ever actually say no to Snart and go against him?
Yeah, I think so, especially since he's hanging out with the Snart from like 10, 15 years ago or something. And I know if I hung out with my friends when they were at that time and I'm at this time, I would hate them.
Yeah.
I don't think I would find them obnoxious, you know, because you kind of grow.
It doesn't have to be 10, 15 necessarily. It could be 4.
Yeah,
You know what I
it's
mean?
true.
Like a couple of years ago when we met Leonard Snart on The Flash, dude wasn't super nice.
Yeah, that's true.
But he still had that sweet Catwoman voice.
Oh,
But it's like I feel like it's
Yeah.
just because these people go through so much in a year. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like every year in these people's lives is like 13 for everybody else.
Also, you got to remember, Rory also went into the future and was turned into a time assassin.
An intergalactic
Yes.
bounty hunter across
so
the
he's
cosmos.
been through a lot.
Right.
But I feel like this is the one I'm most interested about seeing how that dynamic plays out over the course of
Right.
the next 2 episodes than probably any other relationship.
Well, I'm especially interested to see what next episode is like because this is jumping ahead a bit, but we did see what next episode looks like, and it looks like we get to go into the alternate reality of what they actually create, the Legions of Doom create, which I'm ecstatic to see. I'm glad we're doing that because it's one of those things. It's like it's Chekhov's spear. If you introduce it and you say you can rewrite reality with it, we better see reality get rewritten with it. So I'm glad it's actually happening, and I'm curious to see how they're going to deal with that. And we're just going to see what their world looks like.
It'd be interesting, especially with only, I mean, that's the season, 1 episode away from the season finale.
Penultimate
So,
episode, yep.
Man, it's just like that seems like that's a world that seems like ripe for a lot of exploration, and I hope that one
So,
episode is enough.
Yeah, or it could end up being 1 episode and a half. Maybe they don't quite solve it at the end of the episode. Or we get to see what the perfect Legends world will look like in the season finale. And then, but that's not right either. So they have to kind of make it.
And we've also seen how across these shows, they're not afraid to alter the fabric of their own reality in a way that actually bleeds into other shows. So when you're dealing with a tool that literally rewrites all of existence around it, on a show where you're connected directly to a couple of other shows, you have an opportunity if you really like. You're not just doubling down. You're like quadrupling down in this case on the Spear of Destiny concept, but you could have elements of that linger past the season finale on more than one show.
Well, like Flashpoint did, yeah, because Carlos Hernandez brings up Flashpoint in the chat. It's like, well, Legion rewriting the reality changed Flashpoint, and a lot of people are saying hashtag Legion Point. That was Sivaram
Legion
who started
Point.
that, yeah.
I would love for it to change some things from Flashpoint. That was that was a rough time.
Now the Diggles just have a dog.
No,
That's true. Yep.
no kids.
Where'd this dog come from?
But now John Diggle is also a bear,
Yeah.
like a literal bear.
Why am I one thing I did like at the end of this episode was they set up that the only way to destroy the spear is with Jesus blood, Christ blood. But then it gets destroyed, and you
Yeah,
That was one of those moments though where I went, "You have a time machine. Just do it again."
yeah.
see that is something that I actually agree with, where they could go back and now they know kind of where it is.
You could say
but it's
you
in the
just-
middle of it's still in the middle of a war.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be super easy, but it's not like,
Right.
oh, it's destroyed. We lost our only chance at doing this ever.
I also say that it makes sense in a time show where you can't go back to a time that you exist in, because then that might mess up.
That's
stuff.
true. You can't run into yourself.
You can't run into yourself. So I think if they go back in time, they would have to go way back before they actually showed
because
up.
you can run into yourself if it's yourself younger.
Right, but
and
then
it's
it would mess up with the timeline. So this one I actually excuse. It's not like the last one where they could just go hide the spear and then come back, which is what I was saying in like previous episodes. This one it gets a little messier about like when should they come back, what should they do, and I like how it's totally gone now. I like how we don't know how they're going to get rid of the spear, how they're going to destroy it, or if they're even going to be able to destroy it.
But wouldn't you just hop on that wave ride and go back 200 years and go like, all right, let's go back to the same spot 200 years prior?
Yeah, but where is it? Because it's in the middle of a war zone. There's bombs going everywhere. It's buried somewhere in that battlefield.
But wait. Okay, so why don't you, in a world where if we accept that, yeah, even if we could go back to this time, let's say we can't because we can't bump into ourselves right now. Okay. And even if we could, there's a battle going on, and it's still going to be really, really, really difficult to get back to this same spot, even once we already know where it is. Why don't we get in the Wave Rider, go back to like last Thursday at the same spot before there was a battle when we're not there?
Because that would mess up the timeline for when
Because
they actually find it.
Damn.
Because they actually have to find it, because that's part
That's
of
true.
their timeline.
Or because if it doesn't break, they won't go back to try it again.
So they can't go back way early and try to find it. It messes with their timeline.
That's actually a good, and they can't. You're right. That actually might be their one shot. If that,
Yeah, it's their one shot.
They
If
can't
they
go back.
have it and it gets destroyed,
it's not like they can get
can't.
it from the future.
No.
Guys, here we go. I got a beef.
Frank's got a beef.
You go back 200 years, go back even last Thursday. You get the vial. You only use half of it. Doesn't tell you you need the whole vial of
There you
blood.
go.
So you
Okay.
get half the vial.
Pour
You
some
can
in
put
a
it back
Dixie cup,
in.
get on that ship.
You store it in another container. You put that right back where it's supposed to be found.
I actually wouldn't be surprised if that ends up happening. That exact same thing actually ends up
Well,
happening.
and not for nothing, how much of Jesus's blood do you actually need? They weren't specific as to quantity, and if it's been there for however many hundreds of years it's been there, probably dried up, it's probably like crusted on the inside of the thing. Couldn't you have just taken a broken piece of it, a couple broken pieces of it, and like scraped the dried Jesus
Right.
blood into a tray?
I have to say that all sounds great, but this is also a show whose last season finale was they have to go to several different time periods at the same time, which still makes no sense to me. Makes no sense.
Well, and two, someone brought this up in the chat earlier. I'm sorry I didn't catch the name, but it's like, does this make Jesus a liar? Because at the Last Supper, he said, that wine was, this is my blood, drink it. So, could we just potentially get some wine that's Jesus's blood and fix that?
I don't want to get letters, but
Yeah, I know.
that could also just be a metaphor that he just said.
I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't
that
have to
is.
be. Everything doesn't have to be
Literal?
literal.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we do have a good hashtag slippery steel from Jared Scoggin for ruining that Jesus blood. And Holly Lockhart says, I love how Malcolm just appeared at the end with the info about using the spear. And it was just like, actually, he was just singing.
I like that Malcolm's like not around
Yeah.
for the whole episode, and we're going. I saw
Last couple of
Yeah.
episodes.
It's like I saw credit for John Barrowman at the top of this episode. I'm like,
Where is he?
where's this dude? And I appreciate to an extent that like it makes sense that they might sometimes go off on their own ancillary missions. But I really liked the transition from, well, you know what? It's totally possible that they don't even know how to use the spear. We got a little bit of time, you guys. Very next scene, Malcolm walks in and he's got the instructions to the spear.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like. Yeah, that was nice.
Yes.
No waiting around when you're a Legion member. That's it.
Yeah, and I like Jonathan Dimming brings up. Yeah, it turns out in an earlier episode, Mick had just drank the blood, so like, that's how they're gonna get in.
There you
That's
go.
a good conclusion.
Now, given moments like that, what we saw a couple episodes ago, where we saw an episode told mostly from the Legion's point of view, would you have rather seen more? Like, imagine it was like even like a 70-30 split this whole entire season of Legends, Legions focused shows, where they each play kind of like minor roles in each other's episodes.
I hesitate to. I would give up another weeknight to watch a Legion of Doom centric show.
That would be
at
the
this
best
point.
thing ever.
Yeah, but this has been a good season. It's been
No,
like,
this is great. No, that's not my point. I'm loving this season a lot, and I'm loving the way the Legion has been utilized. If I say I want more of them, it's not because I don't love what we're getting, but like, yeah, I want more. I would love to spend a whole hour with these characters multiple times. Just give me one a day. Just give me like an episode of this every single day. You guys don't need to live lives. You could produce that much content in a year, sure.
It just would be, yeah, I agree with to Lex's point. Yes, it's been a great season so far, but it's just like, sometimes it's nice to just be able to see more of the villains' motivations and their point of view on something.
But I think it's for me, it's only a commentary on how fantastic these actors are in these roles and how wonderful it is to have this roster now of antagonists that is so effective. And we have now history with all of these characters. That's insanely cool. So I love any opportunity to watch those like really big personalities play off of each other.
Yeah.
Would you be disappointed if the third season did not at all have any kind of Legion elements in it? Just went on to something else entirely different.
If it's good, then I wouldn't be disappointed.
Yeah.
I feel like if it's as long as it's a good story that's as well planned out as this season was, because this season had the villains were coming in at a steady pace, and we didn't quite know what their role was until halfway through, and then they focused on that. It just had great structure. So if they have a story that's like that and doesn't involve the Legion, I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I completely trust them at this point. And I love the idea that maybe we can have a team of supervillains as a primary threat for a season, and maybe next year they split up and they can go and cause havoc for heroes across all 4 of these shows. It's cool.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I kind of want from the Legion of Doom. I feel like just how everyone on Legends of Tomorrow was set up in the other shows to be this team, maybe we utilize the Legion of Doom throughout the entire DC TV universe, and they're just always screwing up in the different Earths and the different timelines. And
With their spears.
yeah,
Well, you could do
cool stuff.
With their holy spears.
You know, next year, I don't know what they're planning for their crossover, but that's a real easy. It's like I don't know what giant CG monster to write into this 4-night event. Why don't we get all these wonderful actors back and just let them play?
Because I always feel like when it comes down to the villains, it's so much harder for them to understand why this team would want to stay together. Because they all have different objectives, and not all those objectives are going to align. So more often than not, they're just going to be... You're not going to see them really like buddy-buddy. We're only using each other as a means to an end. And maybe more episodes, I don't know how many or what, but just a few more episodes so you can get past them not always just using each other to get what they want, but also you see some budding kind of connections between them.
I do wish there was one episode where they would negotiate what this new reality is going to be like. So it's just like, okay, so I have a hand. Okay, I have a hand. All right, that's great. That's all I need. Bye. And then Merlin leaves, and then he's like, okay, I just need to exist. He's got
a snappy looking suit in that promo.
Exist and have a shoot. But right now, all they have is they chant, and then it magically happens. I wish there was some negotiations that went by.
Yeah, that would be fun. It's like, well, okay, what does everybody want? We'll just make those happen. Maybe, change some presidential stuff,
You say you want all of the cookies, but here's the problem. I also want some cookies. So how are we going to do this? We're going to need to share some cookies.
And Art Master Austin Prophet brings up, it's like, do you think maybe Mick could be playing double agent? Maybe he knew that someone was going to die and sets up a loophole in the new reality to get back the old reality.
I feel like that's got to be part of his arc here. I feel like it would make a ton of sense if he's doing this almost as a way to prove to everybody else that he can be trusted.
Yeah, or I could say I think that might happen, but it might happen on a subconscious level for him.
Sure.
So it might not even be because this is kind of a dumb plan. If it's the plan to go in and rewrite history, but I'll put a loophole in, that's a bit of a stretch. That's a bit of a going too far in.
But he's also but he's got that Chronos brain.
He got that Chronos brain.
Maybe Tetris that all into place exactly right.
He got that Chronos cranium. Who knows?
Right.
But I feel like whatever happens at the end of it, I feel like it's got to result in Snart being around present day.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got to come
Snart's
back.
coming back to life.
Yes.
I think there's going to be certain things that happen at the end of the season that's going to change stuff. I bet Merlin's going to at least get a hand back. That's what I think. And Snart's going to come back, and Thawne's going to exist again. I don't know if he's going to die. Maybe they'll kill him off, but I feel like it'll be...
I think he's too good of a character.
Yeah, I would hate to lose him.
Nah.
Yeah.
I feel like he's still going to be around, and he's like, haha, now I'm loophole, and then,
Yeah, that's his new villain name.
His
is
loophole.
I'm a loophole.
So as we start winding down, why don't we do a few predictions?
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
We just predicted all of them.
We did.
Yeah, we pretty well just
That was
did
it.
that.
Reverse predictions.
Yeah.
Reverse predictions.
I would like to see... I'm glad we got that light show, but I would like to see some of those 5-star reviews.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
We brought up before. See?
I predict that they will make me feel nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, we do have a 5-star review from Best Hype Man Ever. Yes, you've given us reviews before, sir. Thank you.
He makes a good hype man.
Yeah, and it is Kicking It. Killer, your cast rocks harder than F8. Tari is the snart of the CW family. Love y'all. FYI, the hell with all the ladies on Legends being animals. Want Ray to end with his wife. Oh, that'd be nice.
All those
Yeah.
things. make
Also,
sense.
it's not cast like cast of characters. It's apostrophe cast like
Yeah.
podcast.
Love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Love
a
it.
podcast.
Love the cast.
Look at that. Did you see the little twinkle in Lex Michael's eye?
Yeah.
Ooh,
That's because
he
that's
just got
5-star. Yep.
energized.
Boom, 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 boom.
That was like, he was like, Lex is the spear, and all of his pieces are coming back together.
It's like a hungry man got a cookie.
Well, we do need to decide who is going to win Dave's Doodle.
Right. Do we have any new ones?
Let's see.
Any last-minute contenders?
Last minute contenders.
You read those over. I'm going to read what we have so far.
All right.
We have... Okay, what do you got?
Billie Jean Girl 24 says hashtag Captain Loopholes.
Ooh, Captain Loopholes.
A delicious breakfast.
Yeah. Okay, so we have Captain Loopholes. Hashtag Slippery Steel. Hashtag Legend Point. Hashtag Snart Point. Hashtag Perverse Flash. Hashtag Tantric Dave Sex. And hashtag Rip Jelly Bean Hunter. And hashtag Jelly Beans of Destiny. What do you guys like?
I like Perverse Flash myself. I don't know.
I love it.
Perverse Flash?
All right. Perverse Flash is good, but I also like Rip Jelly Bean Hunter. But
I like Rip Jelly Bean
that is
Hunter.
pretty
I
funny.
gotta go with Rip Jelly Bean Hunter. What do you think?
I can't. Well,
Lex, you're the tiebreaker.
It's hard.
Oh,
It's hard because on a technicality, because Perverse Flash was not technically a hashtag.
Okay, yeah, I
True.
kind of added that
Okay.
into it. So
Yeah.
either Perverse Flash or Rip Jelly Bean Hunter. Where do you
I
want?
like Rip Jelly Bean Hunter.
Rip Jelly Bean Hunter, I think you win.
All right.
Yay!
Sorry, it's just like anytime he's got a transmutation power, I'm going to be a fan of that.
But the
Yeah.
Perverse Flash will live on in my
Yeah.
heart.
Oh, yes.
Guys,
Yes.
I will always call him that now. Hashtag Perverse Flash. There you go. That's your consolation prize.
we probably can't scroll back that far to figure out who Rip.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you want to message me at Mr. Dave Child on Twitter or go to davechild.com or just show up at my house and say, hey, I'm not telling you where I live, though, but I want to know where you live so I can send you this doodle, and you're going to enjoy it. I drew the Eye of Sauron here, and he's saying, Snart's my fave.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Connor Pearson Ward, for trying to come up with in and out references, but to no avail for this episode.
It's all right. It's all right.
job.
We still have 2 more episodes
Yeah.
left, so don't
Work on it.
give up.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the Legends of Tomorrow After Show. We made it. We made it through another one, guys. Only 2 more left before the season finale. That's it. There we go. That's going to be all over. That's going to be all over. I can't take it. But in the meantime, folks, the conversation doesn't stop here. It just gets started. You can like us on Facebook. Give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Help keep Lex Michael alive.
Please do.
And well. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks, everybody, for hopping in the chat. We really appreciate it. Thanks for playing along with our little hashtag game to get this super sweet piece of
So
custom-made
good.
And it was
art.
actually Miles Wacholtz, our
good.
new live chatter, is the one who did the
Look at
hashtag.
that.
Oh,
Right.
welcome.
Look at that. You could be a new
All right.
viewer and win something awesome, too. All right. Look at that. Lex Michael, if they want to continue the conversation, send you well wishes, come over and give you a hug, maybe help you move, where can they find you?
Well, I will be checking social media from my suite at the resort in the Alps where I will be recuperating.
Yes.
I am all over social media at the Lex Michael, and if you're a fan of DC on the CW on ABTV, I'm all over that slate. Monday night, I'm talking about Supergirl with Lacretia. Tuesday night, I'm here talking about Legends with these wonderful people, but you know that because you're here already, and we love you for it. Mwah. Wednesdays, we're talking about Arrow. And also, Flash and Supergirl just had a musical crossover, and it was wonderful. Come, talk to me about that. Let's all just cry tears of joy together.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm Lacretia Lyon, guys. You can always find me at LACRETIALYON anywhere on the internet, since there is only one. And watch me, Lex, Frank, and maybe Dave will join us sometime on
knows?
the Comic Book Exchange on Book Circle Online. We do that live at 6 p.m. at Book Circle Online on YouTube, guys. Please watch us. Thank you, Jonathan, for doing that.
And I've said my name enough times, but here it is a couple more times.
Yes.
You can find me at davechild.com or go to @MrDaveChild on Twitter. That's also my same thing for Instagram and Snapchat, and you can friend me on Facebook if you want. I love you. My name's Dave Child.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HappyGoJackie. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of Legends of Tomorrow After Show right here on AfterBuzz TV.
Bye-bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Speed off! I guess.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.